Hey, what's up? Welcome to my $50 multimeter shootout. Now, there is another $50 multimeter shootout out on YouTube, and it was done by Dave Jones of the EEVBlog. It's an excellent video, and it actually inspired me to do this one. The reason I'm doing this is because he did his video in 2010, and it was 5 years ago, and 5 years in the world of technology is an eternity, and that means things have changed. And in his video, none of them had True RMS. Of the 15 I chose, almost all of them have True RMS. So prices have dropped. There's a lot more range now as far as getting good multimeters that have pretty good functionality, including True RMS. So this is basically just going to be an up-to-date $50 multimeter shootout. Now, I think Dave Jones kind of set the benchmark standard for how to do a multimeter review, so I'm going to attempt to cover most of the things he does, even if they're not things that particularly bother me, like the spin test where you put the multimeter on its back and then you see if you can turn the range switch without the whole meter sliding around. That kind of stuff doesn't bug me at all, but just for the sake of thoroughness and getting it to where the data that I collect from this shootout will be easily comparable to the ones he reviewed, I'm going to try to stay true to his review standards. But yeah, let's get started. Okay, so keep in mind that I'm not showing these in any particular order. I'm just grabbing them from the massive pile that is next to me. So the first one up, this is a Holdpeak HP-760H. It's 6,000 count display resolution. It does have a backlight, and I got it for $27.50 from Amazon. This one was super cheap, and it's Prime, so it was 2-day shipping free to my door. And honestly, on paper, it looks pretty decent for the price, so this will be a really interesting one. It's definitely almost at the bottom of the range. There's only one that's cheaper than this, and it's kind of one of the wild cards, but we'll get to it when we get to it. Alright, this is the Tekpower TP2844R. It is True RMS. It does have a backlight. You can get it for about $40 on Amazon. And this is actually identical to another brand. What is it? I think it's Digitech. And I think a lot of people are familiar with him. If you go to like Dave Jones, the EEVBlog forums, I think he goes by, his name is Frankie Tong. He's got a really good eBay store where he sells a lot of cheap and affordable multimeters that are pretty good. And I think he sells the Digitech version of this, and it's pretty well known to be a really good little meter. It's 4,000 count display resolution. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah, it is the Tekpower TP2844R. Okay, this is the Extech EX430. It is True RMS. It's the cheapest True RMS model they sell that is also auto ranging. I found out the hard way. I don't know if you saw the prior video I uploaded where I mentioned it. They do have a EX411. I think it's 411. It's True RMS, but it's manual ranging. I didn't know that was even a thing. But anyways, this is 4,000 counts display resolution. It is True RMS. It does have a backlight, and you can get it on Amazon for about $57.90. So being a big name brand, this is a little more expensive. It's a little higher on the list as far as price. And that's another thing I should mention. I didn't stick to below 50 like Dave Jones did, and I didn't also do above 50 or exactly 50. It's roughly 50 is what we're going with here. I feel like if you don't do any that are above 50, like if there's some that are 60 or 70, you could be missing out, and who's to say that a $70 meter would compete better with a $100 range versus the $50 range. So I try to get meters that are roughly within the $50 range, and obviously if you're willing to spend $50, who's to say that you wouldn't be willing to wait 1 or 2 extra weeks to get one more paycheck, so you can save up the extra $10 to get a model that's $60 or maybe $70 that's significantly better and worth the wait. So that's why you'll see these vary a lot from, I think the cheapest meter was $25 and the most expensive one was $90, but the $90 one is one of the wild cards, and I'll explain why. So really the cheapest non-wild card one I think is like $70. Yeah, I think 70 is the most expensive meter that's not a wild card. So they vary from, the majority of them though are right around 50. They're anywhere from 40 to about 60. So anyways, I just had to get that out there. This is the Circuit Test DMR 6550. It's 6,000 count display resolution. It is True RMS. It does have a backlight, and it is very, very expensive for what it is. It is $70 on Amazon, and it's a Canadian manufacturer that makes this. Well, actually, it's a Canadian manufacturer that supposedly designs it, but it's I assume it's made in China if I remember correctly. But either way, it's super expensive, and even if you get it from their site and you're Canadian and you're buying it within Canadian borders, it's still an expensive meter. So, anyways, this is still, I guess, kind of a name brand-ish, but most people probably aren't super familiar with Circuit Test, the brand. But anyways, I thought I would include it in here because it's a little at the high end of the range, but sometimes it's worth the extra money, so I guess we will find out. Okay, this is the UEI, or I think UTL is the brand, UEI I think is, I don't know, I think it's like a parent company slash child company kind of thing. But anyways, people usually refer to these as UEI brand, but anyways, you see it says UTL at the top. The model is the UTL DM2. And it's 6,000 counts display resolution. It is not True RMS, so it's kind of on the high side of the price too. It's $60, so it's above our it's on the higher end of our $50 price range, and is not True RMS. But this is supposedly a reputable name brand, so we'll see if it's worth the price despite it not being True RMS. It does have a backlight, and the lowest price, actually not just lowest price, but the only place I could really find it in stock that would ship to the US was Test Equipment Depot. All right, this is the Klein Tools MM2000. It's an American brand that makes tools for electricians, and so you can definitely depend on this being reliable and safe like you would a Fluke. It's 4,000 counts display resolution. It is True RMS. It does have a backlight, and if you buy it in a brick and mortar Home Depot or Lowe's type of home improvement store. I didn't check, but I've seen this brand at Home Depot, and I remember the prices being outrageous. I would imagine this is probably well over $100, probably $120, $150. I think. Don't quote me on that, but I just remember them being outrageously expensive for their not super impressive specs. I mean, the specs aren't bad, but for the price, you could get a lot more going with other brands, unless you buy it on eBay. I found this on eBay and a bunch of others. It's not like it was, some one-off. I got lucky. You can buy these on eBay, brand new, unopened. I got this for $64. So to get a rugged name brand, and trust me, this feels super rugged, but we'll cover that in a little bit. But 65 is a little on the high end, but it's a good name brand, American brand. And I think this will probably do pretty decent. But yeah. All right, this is the BK Precision 2705B. It's kind of one of the bigger name brands for being from China. It's 4,000 counts display resolution. It is not True RMS. It does not have a backlight, and it feels super cheap. I don't know if you can hear that. But anyways, we'll cover that later. You can get it for about $50. I got it for $51 at Test Equipment Depot. And by the way, I'm mentioning where I bought it just so you know where I got it for the price that I did. I have no affiliation with anybody. I bought all of these meters completely out of pocket just for the sake of testing them and helping people out there pick out a multimeter. So these all came out of my pocket. So if you like the video, make sure you hit thumbs up. I normally don't ask that, but I spent a lot of money on this video, so just throwing that out there. If I mention where I bought it, it's strictly so you know where I paid what I did. In case you decide that you need to buy it, you'll know where I got it at that price. Okay, this is the Tekpower TP40. It's 6,000 counts display resolution. It is True RMS. It does have a backlight, and the price is actually a little lower than the $50 mark. I got it for $45 on Amazon, and I believe it was Prime, so free 2-day shipping. This is the Uni-T UT61D. I don't recommend getting this model because you can get the E model, which is just way better, and it's only $5 more. Though this one has a backlight, and I accidentally bought this thinking that everything was identical. I thought the E model had data logging. This one didn't have data logging, but did have backlight, and I thought that was a worthy trade. But then when I got it, I realized they are completely different. I mean, on the outside they look identical, but on the inside, as far as the hardware inside, they're nowhere near the same. This is 6,000 counts. The E model is 22,000 counts. So yeah, don't buy this unless you have to have a backlight. But I'm just putting this in here because I have it. I might as well review it and show you the difference. If for some reason in your country the D model is affordable but the E model is not, this might still be a viable option for you. But if you're in the United States, you can get the E model for $5 more. So anyways, before we get to that, it is True RMS, and it does have, this one does have a backlight, and it's 6,000 counts display resolution, like I mentioned. It says right there, and I got this for $42. Now you can get the E model for $50, so that's why I'm saying that if you live in the US, there's no way you should get this one. You should definitely get the E model. But if you're in a different country and you can't get the E model, or the price difference is huge, this might be a decent option for you, so definitely keep your eye on it in this review. Alright, so this is the Uni-T UT61E, and this is the one that I recommend getting if you're able to get it, and the price is similar to the D model, because this is way better. It's 22,000 count display resolution. Let's see. It is True RMS, but the weird thing is the D model has a backlight. This one does not. Now there are people online that have hard modded this to where they add their own backlight, and you can do that if you feel comfortable doing that. But just know that this doesn't come with a backlight, and it's one of the few that doesn't. In fact, no, I guess there are 4 in this shootout that don't have a backlight, but this is one of the 4. And I got this for $49 on Amazon Prime. So 2-day shipping, free, all that jazz. And so for $5 more than the D model, there's no way you should get the D model unless you absolutely need the backlight, or you can't afford the price difference, because wherever country you live in, wherever you have to buy it from, you know, the price difference might be bigger, or you might not even be able to get the E model. But if you can get the E model and the price is almost the same, there's no reason why you should get the D. So, all right, this is the Southwire 12070T, or 12070T. Southwire is another American electricians brand. They make all kinds of electricians tools and linesman's pliers and all kinds of stuff, I believe. And so their meters are generally aimed at electricians, but I made sure, just like with the Klein tools one, I picked ones out that have sufficient specs to be able to do, or to basically be able to double duty as an electronics hobbyist meter. So anyways, this one's 4,000 counts display resolution. It is True RMS. It does have a backlight. It's just a hair on the higher side, but not much. I got it for $55 on eBay brand new, but like I said, if you get this at an electrician supply place or at a Home Depot or, you know, your local hardware store, I guarantee it'll cost probably twice that. So definitely go to eBay for something like this. But you can get these brand new. I don't know how people are getting them for that price. But yeah, brand new, $55. And being, you know, a reputable brand that electricians trust, this would probably be a pretty decent option. But we'll find out. All right. This is a Radio Shack True RMS multimeter. I don't know what the actual model number is. I mean, there was a model number, but it's like 7 digits long or something, and it's not any. You wouldn't memorize it if you went to a store to try to buy this. But generally, if you search for Radio Shack True RMS, this is what'll come up. I think they label it as a 46 range multimeter, and I've already done a review of this a while back, but I realized that this is actually right in the same price range, so I should include it in this shootout. It's 6,000 counts display resolution. It is True RMS. It does not have a backlight, and if you get it at a Radio Shack, I think it's like $70, but I looked on eBay. You can still get these brand new, sealed in the box on eBay for $25. 25 bucks right now. You can get this on eBay. So brand new, unopened. So for the specs and everything, this is a super good buy. I can already tell you before we even get started, because I've reviewed this and it's honestly a pretty good design. I have no major problems with it. Last but not least, this is the Amprobe AM530. It's 4,000 counts display resolution. It is True RMS. It does have a backlight, and it's just above the $50 mark. This is $57 Amazon, and I believe it was Prime. And this is actually one of the bigger name brands out of the bunch. It's a German manufacturer. So these are, they have some really annoying quirks about them. like really slow auto range, and some of them make just the most annoying beeping sound when you switch ranges and stuff, and I don't remember for sure if this one does it. I have an older Amprobe model that does, and it's just, there's some quirks to it, but they're kind of up there with Fluke when it comes to durability and ruggedness when it comes to input protection. So as far as safety, this will be up there pretty high. Okay, this is the first of the two what I will call wild cards. They don't perfectly fit into this shootout, but I'm including it just to show you. So this is the Innova 3320. If you live in the US and you search Amazon for multimeter, this is the first result. It has a trillion reviews, and it's just super popular. So I figured I would include it because it's below $50, and there's no point in doing a multimeter shootout for anything below $50. But, you know, so I figured I'd pick one up and include it. Well, what did this one cost? It cost $26 on Amazon Prime, free shipping, 2 days. It's only 2,000 counts. It's not True RMS. It doesn't have a backlight. In fact, it doesn't have any buttons. The range switch is all it has. It is auto ranging, but Innova, it's an American company. They're based out of California. They do mostly automotive stuff. So their meters are all automotive based, and that's why you have like a battery test mode over here. The model up from this is significantly more expensive. Not any better for EE hobbyists at all, really. I don't think it adds anything that you would care about. But it adds more features for testing, like automobile ignitions and stuff like that, and stuff that you probably wouldn't care about. But I'm including it because if you search Amazon for multimeter, this is the very first result if you live in the US. I don't know if the results are returned in a different order if you're in a different country, but yeah, I figured it's worth including because it's 25 bucks. It's the cheapest one out of all of them, not including the Radio Shack, obviously, on eBay. I was able to find a whole bunch for right around 25 new, but it's worth mentioning, and I can already tell you that it's not great, but at least it's a reputable American brand, but worth mentioning. Okay, this is the other wild card. You might be familiar with this, or you might not. They don't sell this in the US, and I mean, you can get it in the US. You can get it on Amazon or eBay, but it's not sold. They don't make this for the US market. This is for the Chinese market. Now, this is the top end. There's a 105, and it's exactly $50. I didn't get that because you can't measure current on the 105, and you can literally get that. Actually, you can get that one for like $43. It's super cheap on eBay, brand new, unopened. There's a 106 model. It's identical to this, only it doesn't do diode test. And then this is the top 107 model. It does do diode test, and it does do current. The 106 also does current. But anyways, this one is 6,000 counts display resolution. It is not True RMS, and it does have a backlight, but the price on eBay, the cheapest I could find it, was $89. So it's easily the most expensive one out of this. That's why I call it a wild card. It's kind of to show you, because people might say $50. Well, what can you get from the big name brands? Well, really nothing. You can get the Fluke 105, but you can't even measure current. You can't even measure current on it, so it's pretty worthless. Or diode on the 105 model, the one that's actually 50 bucks. And even if you spend 90, you'll see that this has some limitations. Now, if we're talking straight up safety, like probing some high energy stuff, as long as you're probing stuff within its ratings, I would actually put this at the very top of the list without hesitation. Despite this being a model that's not made in the USA, and this is actually made in China, I would still put it at the top. Fluke's reputable. They've earned the reputation with me, with the rest of the planet. So yeah, I had to include this. You can get the 105 model for about $50. This is basically the only one I think that would get by for electronics work. Maybe the 106, the diode test you might not need. You can get that one for probably $75, $80. So you'd save $10 or $15 if you don't think you'd ever use the diode check. Which you can check diodes just with some simple breadboard stuff. Hook it up and then measure the voltage drop in voltage mode. But it's still handy to have that. So just including this to show you that to get the name brands, you gotta pay to play. And even despite this being not True RMS and being super limited in what it can do, it's still almost $100. So that's the second wild card, and that's it.